Yeah, what about it? You know, tell me about this content-driven world where we all hear everything everybody says. What's this? What's that? Who are you making happy? What things are you leaving out of the conversation just purposefully because of it might be an easier landing of the plane? I mean, there's a lot of shit going on right now in reporting as a whole, but certainly in the biggest stories like Shedeur in Cleveland.
I just gave Shedeur as an example. It could be any of the 32
but
teams.
That's a great example.
That's a great example. That is a great example.
Especially in Cleveland, because we haven't really cared about anybody talking or what they say in Cleveland. People watch
Travis Hunter, and I want to get to that in a second, because him deciding to run routes but not doing DB drills is interesting, but hold that for 1 second. The Shedeur Sanders look good, and if you're someone who wants to draft him at 2 or 3 or early, you saw enough where you're like, all right, like obviously the talent is there. The arm strength is, I don't know who said he couldn't throw deep. They were all angry about somebody saying that. I've not yet found the culprit of such accusations, but he has.
The conversation shifted in a way almost nobody saw coming. Not loud, not performative, not built for viral clips. It was controlled, intentional, and that's exactly why it landed so hard. The tone coming out of that ESPN discussion made one thing obvious. Something had changed in how this situation is being viewed. The endless noise surrounding Cleveland, the tug-of-war between local narratives and on-field reality, finally got addressed head-on in a way that couldn't be brushed off anymore. What stood out wasn't hype or promotion at all. It was hesitation, and hesitation from voices that usually don't blink. That pause said more than any hot take ever could. It told you everything about the uncertainty hovering over Shedeur Sanders and this entire situation.
Go offense, you see him fit the ball into those small windows. Yeah. Did you see him on the move throw that touch pass? Now, the receiver made a great one-handed catch, but did you see the touch?
Yes.
So, take off. Go ahead.
Listen, I wanted to see what Shedeur would look like in a situation that wasn't advantageous to him. He didn't get any reps. So as many reps as he should to prepare himself, to be prepared for a game like this.
Cleveland has been swimming in mixed messages for months now, and nobody has been able to cleanly explain it. 1 week, the quarterback room is set. The next week, it's wide open. Reports clash, opinions get dressed up as facts, and fans are left playing detective, trying to figure out which version of the truth fits the moment. That ESPN discussion didn't guess at the chaos. It acknowledged it. And that matters, especially coming from people who understand how media ecosystems actually operate, particularly in a market like Cleveland, where desperation and impatience shape coverage every single day. Here's the reality, and it's not complicated. Shedeur Sanders did not walk into a clean situation. He didn't get a full offseason as the clear starter. He didn't get preseason reps tailored to what he does best. He didn't get a stable offensive line. He didn't get a staff fully aligned on his development path. What he got was an opportunity wrapped in chaos. And chaos doesn't come with training wheels.
Maybe he
Same
does.
guy that went Wildcat
Because he's done this before, and he would outsmart the room. And there's a lot of reactions that would go on in that moment. Yeah, no, but I'm listening to Shedeur, and I'm like, geez. Oh, he's right. I mean, sometimes I'm racing to get to retirement for some unknown reason, and I'm racing to like have my kids get to be 18 and all this. Like, sometimes you just got to live in the moment and be present about it. And that's interesting. In a football context, he had me thinking even deeper than like just a big life-setting life moment. There's perspective he has that I feel like a lot of people don't at his age.
When that opportunity showed up, it wasn't gradual or forgiving. It was immediate, high-pressure football with zero margin for error. That's not how young quarterbacks are usually brought along, but that's the hand he was dealt. And despite all of that, what's on tape can't be ignored. The throws are real, the command is real, the poise is real. Even more telling than the stats is how teammates respond. Box scores don't show trust, but players do. Confidence spreads fast in a huddle, and when a quarterback steps in with certainty, the entire unit moves differently. That gap between production and organizational commitment, that's where the tension lives. That's where narratives start to bend and twist.
Enough on film to show what he can do if he has an off season. Like what you're seeing right now, including the tip passes or the fluke interceptions or the woulda, coulda, shoulda reads, and still with an exceptional completion record. This really is like week 4 for him. It may be week 16, 17 in the NFL, but it's week 4 for him. Just thinking he's been playing all along.
Mm-hmm.
They have a damn winning record to be headed to the playoffs.
Exactly.
Local media is stuck walking a tightrope. Do you report what's being said behind closed doors, even if it clashes with what fans see on Sundays? Or do you lean into opinion because it hits louder and faster? That balance is fragile, and Cleveland is the perfect storm for it. Years of losing erase patience. Every move feels final. Every quarterback feels like the last shot. And here's what really complicates everything. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another young quarterback. He's lived under scrutiny his entire life. The expectations didn't start when he put on an NFL jersey. They followed him at every level, and it shows in how he answers questions, absorbs criticism, and carries himself. When things aren't perfect, there's no panic, no excuses, just calm, accountability, and control. That matters because Cleveland doesn't ask soft questions, ever. Every press conference turns into a referendum. Every fourth down decision gets torn apart frame by frame. The offensive line has been a revolving door all season. Protection breaks down early, pockets collapse before roots even have time to develop. And that's a nightmare for any quarterback, especially one who never got a full offseason rhythm to begin with. And yet, even inside that chaos, flashes keep showing up. Not just throws, but effort.
But first things first, playing quarterback in the NFL. One of the things that I've really been paying attention to with Shedeur Sanders, because really what has to, and it comes from listening to people try to compare Shedeur and say, oh, you got the haters out there who are saying, oh, Shedeur's not it. He's not, and you got people like me saying, you're not looking at the big picture. You're not looking at the whole thing, or
blocking downfield, competing on broken plays, doing the unglamorous work that never makes highlight reels but absolutely earns respect in locker rooms. That's where the conversation quietly shifted. It stopped being about potential and started being about reality. When analysts point out effort plays, leadership moments, and composure under pressure, they're saying more than stats ever could. They're acknowledging legitimacy. They're admitting this isn't imaginary anymore. And that's exactly why the frustration is so loud now. Because it took way too long to get here. Cleveland spent weeks cycling through options that never truly fit. Veteran stopgaps, developmental projects forced into roles they weren't ready for, decisions that felt more like avoidance than strategy. Time got wasted, opportunities slipped away. And now, after the season has already taken its toll, the responsibility lands on a quarterback who should have been preparing for this moment months ago. This isn't about the player. It's about the process.
Shedeur, and you realize this guy is built to be an NFL quarterback. Now, the biggest thing though that Shedeur has been doing week to week, as the maturation process continues, the biggest thing that he's doing is he's almost reinventing himself week to week. And why is that important? Well, it's because to be successful in the NFL, you almost have to reinvent yourself week to week.
Cleveland's biggest issue isn't talent, it's belief. The roster doesn't move like it expects to win. Play calling doesn't sound like it trusts its own personnel. Losing has become familiar, and familiarity breeds caution. That's why confidence jumps off the screen when it finally appears. Shedeur Sanders brings an edge this team hasn't leaned into for years. Swagger without recklessness, confidence without arrogance. The expectation that winning is possible, not hypothetical. Media skepticism didn't come from nowhere. It came from years of false starts. But when skepticism turns into dismissal, that's when narratives lose credibility. Watching the tape matters. Pretending it doesn't exist doesn't make the problems disappear. And if you really want to understand what's happening, look around the stadium. Empty seats tell their own story. Fans don't disengage over one bad season. They disengage when they feel misled, when hope gets dangled and then yanked away. Waiting until the season is basically over to unleash a quarterback you've been sitting on doesn't inspire loyalty. It feels calculated. And if the organization truly believes someone else was clearly better, they wouldn't be dealing with this level of pressure from every direction. Now actions reveal the truth faster than statements ever could. And right now, the spotlight is getting hotter. Draft conversations are intensifying. Coaching futures are hanging in the balance. Every move from this point forward carries real weight.
And watch these football games and think that he's God's gift is amazing to me, considering he himself has said how many things he's got to get over. And on the other side of it, the people who keep saying, well, he's a fifth-round pick, you shouldn't even be talking to him. What planet are we living on here? What planet are we living on that we just can't come to an agreement here that, yes, he's a very popular developmental quarterback and he may get the chance to start in 2026? Is that so effing hard for everybody?
Cleveland cannot afford another reset that ignores what's already inside the building. Drafting another quarterback wouldn't signal growth. It would scream panic. Stability starts with commitment. Building around a quarterback doesn't require perfection. It requires intention. A functional offensive line that actually holds up. Receivers who finish routes and fight for the football. A running game that forces defenses to hesitate. defensive pieces that create short fields instead of constant uphill battles. These aren't luxury upgrades, they're basic requirements to compete. That's why the upcoming draft shouldn't be about replacement. It should be about reinforcement. Investing in protection sends a message. Investing in skilled players sends a message. But more than anything, choosing a clear direction sends a message. Teams don't rally around uncertainty. They rally around clarity. Players respond to honesty. Fans respond to transparency. Coaching decisions are going to define this offseason, and accountability has to land somewhere. Play calling issues, quarterback rotations, and draft miscalculations don't happen in isolation. Results matter, but direction matters even more. Yes, veteran contracts complicate things. That's part of the league. Smart organizations plan around financial constraints. They don't let them freeze progress.
From a high-ranking AFC North executive on the Browns rookie, Shedeur Sanders. It's early, but wow, actually shocked how good he looks. Nike football, when you get your opportunity, create the next one. Only matter of time.
Yeah.
Ocho.
Yeah.
We could pick two plays, Ocho. Well, damn, he missed the Sam Strong safety blitz where he had a guy ride over to the flat on 2nd and 18 and he skipped the ball to him.
Having an expensive backup doesn't cancel out the responsibility to move forward with the right starter. And right now, the discussion has clearly shifted. It's no longer about whether Shedeur Sanders belongs. It's about whether Cleveland is ready to commit. That's a completely different pressure point. One puts everything on the player. The other forces the organization to look in the mirror. Exactly. The next steps will define the franchise's trajectory. Either Cleveland builds around what's already proven resilient under fire, or it repeats the same hesitation cycle that's kept it spinning for years. The league doesn't wait. Windows slam shut fast. Confidence disappears even faster. What was said on that show wasn't explosive. It was revealing. When respected voices stop dismissing performance and start acknowledging complexity, that signals change. But naming a starter isn't the finish line. Responsibility extends into daily operations. How protection is designed, how plays are called, how patience shows up when mistakes happen. Development isn't something you announce at a press conference. It's something you demonstrate every week. Right now, Cleveland isn't being judged by what it says. It's being judged by how it responds to adversity with a young quarterback under center. And what's been missing for years is alignment.
PN talks about Shedeur Sanders, turns heads of what they had to say when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. And they was talking about majority of the Cleveland media. You don't know what to believe. They saying this, they saying that, they pushing their agenda. But we all know what we see on the field. Shedeur Sanders is a baller. You hear me? Now, Shedeur Sanders didn't get the reps.
Front office decisions don't always match coaching priorities. Coaching priorities don't always match what shows up on Sundays. And players are left trying to bridge gaps they should never be responsible for closing. When a quarterback is forced to become the stabilizer for an unstable system, progress gets harder to maintain. That's just reality. And yet, even inside that environment, growth has been visible. Reads are getting quicker. Pocket movement has improved. Decision-making under pressure hasn't collapsed the way critics predicted. Those are clear signs of a quarterback learning in real time, not one drowning in the moment. The mistakes that do show up don't look like panic or regression. They look like timing issues, chemistry gaps, and protection breakdowns. Those are fixable problems when structure actually exists. That distinction matters, and fans see it. This reaction isn't blind loyalty. It's recognition. People watching can see effort turning into competitiveness, even when the scoreboard refuses to cooperate. They see leadership traits that don't disappear after one bad series. That's why frustration is being aimed upward, not under center. And that's also why media narratives keep shifting. Uncertainty invites speculation. When clarity is missing, agendas rush in to fill the space. Some voices hedge, some provoke, some protect relationships. That's the ecosystem. But football decisions eventually strip narratives down to outcomes. The upcoming offseason is going to expose priorities fast. If Cleveland invests early draft capital into the offensive line, that signals belief.
News around the NFL. Shedeur and the Titans canceling their workout. That feels like that's the big news. A couple retirements. What is the big NFL news of the day here, Rap Sheet?
It kind of feels like the Shedeur thing, right? So obviously on Friday, Colorado had its showcase, not a pro day, but a showcase, which
it was awesome. I think
it was pretty awesome. I would agree with that.
Dion yelling at scouts. Dion yelling at scouts, telling them, "Hey, you don't tell my guys how to run 40s." Okay, you just got here. Get the hell out of the way. I think Shedeur did a great job.
If they surround Shedeur Sanders with receivers who can actually separate in a running game, defenses must respect that signals commitment. But if they spend months flirting with alternatives while calling it competition, that signals fear. And fear has defined this franchise for far too long. Fear of making the wrong choice, fear of committing too early, fear of public backlash. But the league doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards decisiveness, even when decisions aren't perfect. Conviction allows organizations to adjust faster than indecision ever could. The locker room matters here too. Players aren't deaf to the noise, they feel the tension. When leadership hesitation trickles down from the top, trust starts to fracture. But when a direction is chosen and reinforced, accountability spreads. Standards rise. Preparation changes. Shedeur Sanders' presence has already changed how opponents prepare. Defensive schemes respect his arm. Blitz packages account for his awareness. This moment isn't about declaring superstardom. It's about recognizing the foundation that's already been laid and deciding whether the organization is finally ready to build on it. Franchises are built in layers, and that's exactly why progress in Cleveland has felt uneven for so long. Pieces get added without alignment, timelines overlap, and momentum stalls.
Sanders earlier today talking about if he feels like a long-term commitment from the Browns is there. Again, everyone says Shedeur is one way, and then you hear the kid talk, and he seems to hit all the right noise. Like the Dylan Gabriel thing yesterday, where Dylan Gabriel gets booed on Sunday going in for Shedeur, and everyone acts like it's his whole to-do, and then Shedeur's like, nah, I feel bad, like I put him in a bad situation.
Yeah, which it was.
What makes this moment different is timing. The league is younger, faster, and far less forgiving than it used to be. Rookie contracts matter more than ever, windows close quicker, and patience isn't rewarded the way it once was. Right now, there's a clear disconnect between performance and perception, between effort and evaluation, between potential and actual planning. That gap is where organizations either grow or get exposed. How Cleveland responds will decide whether this season becomes a footnote or a true turning point. Building around Shedeur Sanders at this stage isn't a gamble. Ignoring what's already been shown would be. The evidence is on film. The composure is visible. The leadership is real. None of that is theoretical anymore. Now the pressure shifts off the quarterback and onto the organization. The choice is simple but heavy. Keep managing narratives and delaying decisions. Or finally commit to building a future with intention, clarity, and conviction.